Okay, Mayor, you're ready.
Hey, good evening and welcome to the business meeting of the Council of the Borough of Ringwood. Today is Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. Because of the coronavirus emergency, the following provisions shall apply to the conduct of this meeting. Attendance at the meeting shall be limited to the municipal manager and essential staff at the Borough Hall in the council chambers. Members of the municipal council will be in attendance via Zoom. The meeting shall be televised on public access channel 77, recorded and rebroadcast on channel 77 and on the YouTube. The public may also participate in the meeting via Zoom. Nicole, statement of compliance, please.
Adequate notice of this business meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Law, PL 1975, Chapter 231, setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this business meeting by consent agenda resolution number 2020-09, adopted January 1st, 2020, through a legal notice published in the Suburban Trends issue of January 12th, 2020, and through legal notices emailed to the following named newspapers and posted on the bulletin board at the Borough Hall on January 6, 2020, the Suburban Trends and the Bergen Record.
Please silence all electronic devices during your meeting.
Not all of them.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Spear.
Here.
Council members Bolton,
Here.
Ferretti,
Here.
Matty Landis,
Here.
McCracken,
Here.
O'Keefe.
Here. Also present, Borough Manager, Director, Department of Public Works, Scott Heck, Municipal Clerk, Nicole Langenmeyer, and Borough Attorney, Richard J. Kleeneck. Pledge of allegiance is done for the start of our meeting by Mr. Heck and Mrs. Langenmeyer. Before we, I'd like to read a statement I prepared before we start the meeting and a proclamation, if I may. In the aftermath of the death of George Floyd, there has been an outpouring of emotions. These emotions, if channeled positively, can lead to much needed discussions and long overdue reforms. Ringwood is a diverse and accepting community. It is a mixture of different people with different backgrounds and customs working together to achieve a common goal: to foster a strong sense of community by being kind to one another and respecting everyone. We must continue to take pride in our similarities and differences, whether it is race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, religion, or anything else. When we listen and celebrate what is both common and different, we become a wiser, more inclusive community. As we interact respectively with each other during these trying times, we can continue to build bridges of trust and respect. Together, Ringwood will rise above the tensions and divisions that burden other parts of the country. As with divisive issues in the past, the people of Ringwood will continue to listen to other perspectives, have rational conversations, and address the needs of our entire diverse community. In the words of author J.K. Rowling, we are only as strong as we are united, as weak as we are divided. I have faith in the great people of Ringwood. We will remain Ringwood strong. And I have this. Thank you. I have this proclamation I would like to read. It's Ringwood embraces diversity and unity. Whereas the death of George Floyd in police custody is both a singular tragedy and an emblem of the deep and systematic racism that stands in the way of our shared task to form a more perfect union. And whereas peaceful protest in the face of injustice is both a right and an obligation to those who, motivated by conscience, seek to effect positive change. in their communities in this great nation. And whereas arbitrary violence of all kinds is condemnable whether it is effected by those perpetrating criminal activity or is ordered by civil authorities against those engaged in peaceful protest. Now therefore be it resolved that the Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood stands with those who seek to constructively address racial disparity and inequity in all its forms. And be it further resolved that all citizens of good conscience are asked to consider what they might do to live up to the commission given to us by the founders of the United States of America, to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity. We stand together.
Madam Mayor, is that in the form of a... Are you making the motion, madam?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
I'd like to second that.
Can I have a roll call?
Mayor Schaefer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear,
Yes.
Council Members Bolton,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Matty-Landis,
Yes.
McCracken,
Yes.
O'Keefe.
Okay, thank you. Now we're gonna move on to approval of minutes, the business meeting of May 19th, 2020. Can I have a motion?
I'll move. Councilman Ferretti, I'll move that.
Can I have a second?
Councilwoman Landis will second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear,
Yes.
Council Members Bolton,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Matty-Landis,
Yes.
McCracken,
Yes.
O'Keefe.
Yes. Now we're up to general public portion. Mr. Hack, is there anyone?
Yes, Mayor, we have 12 attendees. I would ask anybody that would like to speak to raise their hand, and we have our first individual, and it is Joanne Atlas.
And you have 3 minutes, and could you please state your name and address for the record?
Joanne Atlas.
Good
And,
evening.
what?
Good evening, Joanne.
Hi, Mayor. I am really pleased that there is renewed interest in the borough's 2008 bicycle and pedestrian plan. It took tremendous effort and contains many wonderful ideas for making Ringwood a safer, healthier, more sustainable community. Several of these ideas could be implemented at no or very little cost, and there are funding opportunities for the more costly endeavors. There's also an opportunity now to take advantage of Passaic County's Highlands Rail Trail. This is an ambitious hiking and biking project that will include lands belonging to North Jersey District Water Supply Commission, which we in Ringwood have longed to gain access to. With the pandemic, lifestyles are changing. People are more homebound and seeking ways to get out of our houses. You can see us riding our bikes, walking the streets, and hiking the mountains. But our infrastructure is lacking. The narrow, winding roads are often unsafe. Skyline Drive, which bisects the town, is inaccessible and uncrossable. There are other impediments to getting from here to there safely, which can be addressed and improved. So I'm asking you to pick up this project, create a task force, and get this job done. It offers comfort and hope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wunsch, you are on the council meeting.
Okay, David Wunsch, 16 Dewey Drive in Ringwood. I want to address two issues. First of all, I want to piggyback on what the first person spoke about. My daughter will turn 14 in August, and she's really never been able to ride her bike out of Ringwood Acres and the Fieldstone section of Ringwood due to the fact of really narrow roads. This year, we went out and bought her the bike. I think we bought the last girl's bike her size in New Jersey, bikes of the new toilet paper. And, it would really be nice to take a look at that plan and have it implemented. I know, Mr. Heck, I've seen your DPW workers doing some great things around town. So obviously they have some time to do it. I saw a street cleaner on my street, which is fantastic. So, I was hoping that maybe we could use their energies to perhaps create this road. I've seen talk on Facebook of $1 million towards this project, that somehow Ringwood has banked towards it, which would be a great thing. And it would really be nice for my daughter to actually be able to ride her bike from point A to point B and see her friends. It would take cars off the road, it would give her exercise, and it would really be a great improvement to this town because, as I said, we can only ride in Ringwood Acres and in Fieldstone. Secondly, I know Mr. Heck and I talked about this. I just wanted to bring this up to the mayor and council. In early April, I was unable to make my sewer payments. I've been in the borough of Ringwood. My anniversary is July 1st, 2020. It'll be 20 years in this town. And according to Mr. Heck and a very nice woman in the water department that was helping me out at the time, I had never missed nor was late with a payment of the $300 that I pay. In 20 years, I've paid $22,800 towards this fund. I realize that this is an important thing. I chose Ringwood Acres because I prefer sewers over septic. I've had a much better experience with sewers, and we have never had a problem with the sewer. At that time, I was furloughed from my job. I am back at work, which is, I'm happy to hear. I'm happy about that. But I had to make some interesting decisions. PSE&G, Rockland Electric, most of the utility companies I was working with would not charge me a late fund. Yes, I understand it was only $3.50, but I was hoping the borough would have taken into consideration the fact that some of us were really struggling and some of us had to make payments. I was very nervous about continually being charged a late fee, so I rearranged funds and took money and ended up paying my sewer thing. I would have hoped that maybe a payment plan would have been offered to people that were furloughed or unemployed. I would like to know if I think I'll be able to make the payment, which is due July 1st. As I said, I am back at work, but are we going to continue to charge late fees during this very unprecedented time where many of us were either furloughed or unemployed? Thank you for putting this for putting this up on Zoom, and I appreciate if you guys can answer that question for me. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Mr. Head?
I'm maneuvering through here. Mr. McAllen is with us as well. Tom, you have to unmute your phone.
Yep.
Okay.
Am I unmuted now?
Yep, you're good.
Yep.
Good evening, folks. Tom McAllen, 32 Judith Ann Drive, Ringwood, New Jersey, former councilman and part of the Economic Development Commission, though I'm speaking for myself. Yes, I'd like to also voice my opinion on the bike trail. I listened to some of the comments in the last meeting regarding it. One of the things was some talk about spending the money at this time. And obviously, there are some tax implications as far as the taxes at this time, but of course that open space money is dedicated funds. They're dedicated to open space, unless it's going to be re-put into the general fund somehow, which it shouldn't be. It's a dedicated fund, so it really isn't going to affect one way or the other the tax base of the situation. The Economic Development Commission has been discussing the bike path considerably at our last meetings, which obviously because of the close down, we have not been able to meet. However, it is a pathway to going forward, as Joanne Atlas mentioned. It also can link into the rail trail that is coming up from Wanacue, which seems to finally be getting some life and would possibly bring quite a bit of tourism into the community. And if we can link that up into the stores, that would be helpful for them. I do applaud the town for looking at the bridge on Skyline Drive. That is something for a pedestrian bridge that's important. I know it's gonna go on right now, they're looking at the south side, or I guess it'd be the far side, the bank side of the road. Looking at that, that's because of the tributary coming in, that's kind of a long bridge situation. It may look cheaper to do it on the other side. Could you probably get a pre-made bridge, and it might save some money there. Yes, you'd have to still cross Skyline Drive to get over to the bagel shop on that side. Crosswalks on the flat down there between those stores could probably accommodate that situation. But once again, I'd like to support the bicycle trail and hope the council will give that consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom. Okay. Ms. Shu, you'll have to unmute, but you're available to talk.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Jennifer Shu, 205 Lakeview Avenue. I would also like to express my support for the bike and pedestrian plan. I am a member of the Green Team, but I am speaking just on my own behalf. I agree with what Joanna said, that the streets are narrow and not particularly safe. I feel that I would love to see a task force created to examine the proposals in the plan to find ways of making our streets safer. Since I moved to Erskine Lake in 1992, I know of one pedestrian who was hit and seriously injured, and I know of 3 dogs who were hit. One dog did not survive. The streets are narrow, and I would love to see some proposals for increasing the safety of the streets for all the pedestrians and cyclists, especially children who are on bikes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Sarah Lennington? You just have to unmute your mic, unmute your speaker.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Sarah Langton, 22 Ramapo Place. I'm a member both of the Green Team, Board of Health, but I'm speaking just for myself tonight. And I also really wanted to support the bike and pedestrian path. As a senior citizen, I think that it's really important seniors have a safe place to walk, where they don't have to worry about being, dodging cars or cars dodging them. With the COVID crisis, I've seen many more seniors out in my neighborhood, as well as kids all over the place riding bikes, and everybody trying to get outdoors and exercise. And I think this would be a time to make streets safer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Canetti?
Good evening, Robin Canetti, 310 Lakeview Avenue. I want to speak also on behalf of the bike path. I am a member of the Passaic County Open Space Committee. I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I do know that when I went to all the meetings last year, I would see, and I can't remember the exact figure, but it was tens of thousands of dollars that had been allocated to Ringwood that nobody was doing anything with. So it would be wonderful to at least spend that money. I know we gave away about $2 million last year from lots of other communities. And it sort of was like a waste of money to just sit and not be allocated when all of these other towns were looking for funding for projects. And then every year is a new year. We haven't met this year because of COVID, but if you're gonna need more, put down the presentation, come on down, and it's a big pot. And I'm there on behalf of all the towns, but I'd love to see the money go to Ringwood for something like this. We certainly have an unbelievably beautiful town that lots of people like to bike through. I have a friend that drives from Nanuet. He knew all of the back streets better than I did. He's driven through Ringwood so often. So it would be nice to make that safer, and it might help our ecotourism as well, which should be a goal of ours, to bring people into our community. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Ms. Safane. Yep, you're ready.
Am I muted?
Nope,
Okay.
you're ready to go.
Okay. Hi, Penny Safane, 73 Cedar Road. And I am so excited about this prospect. I am not clear at all on where the bike path / pedestrian path would go. I would love to hear more about it, but I want to just definitely express my support no matter where it is. And how do other people who are not here this evening at this meeting express their support or ask questions about it? That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
Hi, Jim Martin, Marshall Road. I also support the bike and pedestrian path. I think that it's a key asset for the town to pursue for its residents. It's nice for outsiders to come and visit our community and enjoy what we have here. But I think given what's gone on the last couple of months in town, I think we all have a newfound appreciation of how important the natural resources and the outdoor activities that we have so readily available to families in Ringwood are. And I think that it would be a great thing for us to be pursuing. And on another note, I would ask the council and the borough to continue to press through social media communications and whatever other means they have, the need for residents in Ringwood to stay vigilant concerning COVID-19. Because while New Jersey has done a tremendous job in terms of reducing their number of cases and hospitalizations on a daily basis, this by no means is over. When you look at states that acted too quickly, South Carolina, Texas, Arizona, places like that, their infection rate continues to grow at frightening rates on a daily basis. And in traveling around town in the last week, I think people are getting too comfortable and too complacent too quickly. I noticed that the vast amount of kids in this town that are congregating together are not social distancing, they're not wearing masks, and it's an invitation for a horrible summer if we don't do something. And I think it would be a great thing for the Department of Health and the town to keep those communications solid and let everybody know that this is not over, it's far from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Daniel, you are ready to go, just unmute your, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. Dan Daly and Susan Peterson, 138 Cupstaw Drive. We would also like to support the bike path and pedestrian trail. We have, both of us, been spending a lot more time walking around the streets here in Ringwood recently because both of our jobs are in New York and we have had to do both of them remotely. In my line of work, I've done a lot of traveling, and there are a lot of communities that I've seen and worked in, much less beautiful and naturally endowed than Ringwood, who have put these kinds of pedestrian trails and bike paths into effect. It puts a very friendly, open face on the community, and it helps everyone, residents and visitors alike, appreciate the natural beauty of this community. We're here 20 years in July, and we would very much like to see this happen because we love what we see here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Mitch, you can go ahead. Mr. Khan? You just have to unmute your, your mic.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Yeah, your wife must have she needs to mute her computer.
we got computers going here, cell phones going, everything. I'm gonna turn her off. How's this? You hear me now?
Much better.
Okay, I'm Mitch Kahn, 177 Upper Lakeview Avenue. As most of you know, I'm chairperson of the Economic Development Commission, and I want to let you know that we support the pedestrian and bike path plan. As a matter of fact, we've been working very hard to link that plan to local businesses. We're in the process of submitting a grant to the Highlands Council for $50,000 to continue the planning of this effort. I think there's an excellent chance that we'll get it with council support. So I really am going to urge you to go forward with this plan and support it. You have a lot of people in town that are willing to work on it and support it, and it's something that would be really of exceptional value to Ringwood. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Cheryl?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I am going to make it short and sweet. I'm calling in support of the trail and bike path as well. Being a local dog walker and being on the streets of Ringwood every day, I am more than aware of the need for something for not just myself, but for others in town, children, seniors. It's treacherous out there. And I have been involved, and I have seen others almost involved in accidents every part of the area, but mostly in Erskine Lake. Erskine happens to be the worst. I'm at a point now because I walk two dogs that are very large, and there are so many people on the streets that I have to put them in my car elsewhere to walk them where I can't be around people. Giving others an area to go where they're not afraid to walk with other people walking with dogs is just a great idea. And also just the benefit of having something like this in our town to bring others here. I'm looking at selling 18 Linnea Place I live at. Within the next 5 or 10 years, I'm looking to be relocating out of the area, and I'd like to have something to offer instead of just my home. You know, the surrounding parks are great, but to have our own type of recreation for homeowners and their children to take advantage of would be great. I've also told Kathy O'Keefe that if there is a group set up, I would be more than happy to volunteer my time working on it. That's it.
Good, thank you.
Okay, Mayor, that's all the people that we have to speak this evening.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Heck. Can I have a motion to close public portion?
Correct, and I'll make the motion to close the public portion.
Have a second?
Kathy O'Keefe, I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Peretti?
Yes.
Mattiolandis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Okay,
Mayor, I would just like to take, this is Kathy O'Keefe, I'd just like to take a minute to thank all the people who participated in the open session, the public open session. I have to put this out on social media to let people know about our plan. And I was really excited to hear so many people call it. In addition, we've had over 54 other people press like on social media. So I hope the council is open to a serious discussion this evening. Thank you.
thank you. Next is old business. Mr. Heck, is there any business?
We have no old business this evening, Mayor. The next section we have is resolutions.
Resolutions, okay.
I would love to get back to old business if you want to know the truth.
I hear you.
So if you,
Resolutions.
are you ready, Mayor?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, Resolution 2020-132, whereas the Chief Financial Officer has certified the funds are available for the payment of the current bill list in the amount of $597,563.69, supplemental payments in the amount of $5,319,849.89, and merchant services fees in the amount of $137.49 to be credited to the following accounts for a total of $5,917,551.07, of which I'm going to have to mute some of you folks. I'm not sure who. We're getting some background. Of which we have $2,276,123.68 going to the Board of Education, and $2,995,195.15 going to Passaic County. So, Mayor, you have to unmute yourself there. Go ahead, Mayor.
Okay, now I have a motion.
I'll move it. Ms. Ryan?
McCracken, I'll second that.
Roll call.
Mayor Schaefer? Mayor?
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Peretti?
Yes.
Matty Olandis?
Yes.
McCracken? McCracken?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
And O'Keefe?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 2020-133, approval to submit a grant application to and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for Erskine Road, Lakeview Avenue roadway and drainage improvement phase number 4 final. Be it resolved that the municipal council of the Borough of Ringwood hereby formally approves the grant application for the above stated project. And be it further resolved that the municipal manager and the borough clerk are authorized to submit an electronic grant application identified as MA-2021 Erskine Road, Lakeview Avenue, Phase 4, F100145 to the New Jersey Department of Transportation on behalf of the borough. Be it further resolved that the borough manager and the clerk are hereby authorized to sign the grant agreement on behalf of the borough, and that their signature constitutes acceptance of the terms and conditions of the grant agreement and approves the execution of the actual grant contract.
I have a motion.
John Spear, I'll move that.
Councilman Ferretti, I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Peretti?
Yes.
Matty Olandis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Mayor, we have a individual going for some of his badges for the scouting, Matthew Geisel. He's here with us this evening. And Matthew, one of the things that we do is when we have anytime we spend money, the council approves the expenditure that I'm going to make. They also have to approve any of the grants. So if I apply for a grant, they have to give me authorization to do that. So the resolution that we just did authorizes me to file that grant. The reason that we do this is there's a check and balance between the management and the council, and that's why we do that. Same thing with the bill list. You notice we went through a bill list where we paid the local schools. So those are the type of things that we're doing. So I'll try to. I'm sorry I didn't see you earlier. I will try to explain it as we go, as I do for all the scouts that come here, and it's great to have you.
Welcome.
Okay. Resolution 2021-34. This is New Jersey Department of Transportation, Division of Local Government and Economic Development. This is a recommendation of award for state aid project. Be it resolved, the Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood hereby recommends to the New Jersey Department of Transportation that the contract for Erskine Road, Lakeview Avenue roadway and drainage improvements, phase number 3, contract number 2020-02C in the Borough of Ringwood, Passaic County, be awarded to Marini Brothers whose bid amount is $432,479.69 for the base bid plus the alternative bid, subject to the approval of the department. Be it further resolved that the municipal manager of this body and is hereby directed to seal the said contract and the corporate seal of the body at the same. So what we're doing here, Matt, is this is the last, a few minutes ago, I'm gonna mute a couple of these people. Sorry, guys, paper turning is loud. The last resolution, we are going to the next phase. This is what we did last year, and this is a bid for phase number 3 of the contract. So this says that the $432,000 is the awarded bid that we're making a recommendation on. So Mayor, I have that for you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Matty Landis, I'll make a motion.
John Spear, second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear,
Yes.
Council Members Bolton,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Matty Landis,
Yes.
McCracken,
Yes.
O'Keefe.
Yes.
I should also mention that no chat function should really be working between any council members, and we also don't accept chat functions on, if you want to make a comment, please by all means come on to the next public portion and do that. But the chat function, it should not be enabled for all of us to be chatting. It should all be done on the air, so. Resolution 2020-135, whereas the borough requests a proposal for professional services recommendation for Erskine Road, Lakeview Avenue, and drainage improvement phase number 3, contract number 2020-021, where Schwanweed Halls Engineering has submitted a proposal dated January 2nd, 2020, which itemizes 2 phases of the project as follows: base bid $28,100, alternative bid $3,900. Whereas the Chief Financial Officer has certified that the funds are available in the amount of $32,000 from the budget line item number 00140305201 for contract number 2020-021, boy, that's a tough thing. And whereas the Borough Engineer recommends awarding this contract to Schwanweed Halls Engineering in the amount of $28,000 for the base bid and $3,900 for the alternate bid, for a total of $32,000, subject to the New Jersey pay-to-play ordinances, documentation, and Ringwood's pay-to-play. Now therefore be it resolved that the municipal council of the Borough of Ringwood hereby awards the professional services to the same for Erskine and Lakeview Avenue road and drainage improvements, phase number 3, for that total amount to Schwanweed Halls of Oakland, New Jersey.
May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Matty Landis.
Have a second?
Councilman Ferretti, I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear,
Yes.
Council Members Bolton,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Matty Landis,
Yes.
McCracken,
Yes.
O'Keefe.
Yes.
Resolution 2020-136, this is a resolution permitting the amendment to the threshold amount for the contract subject to public bidding requirements and granting authorization to the Borough Contracting and Qualified Purchasing Agent. This came from the Department of Community Affairs. Whereas the Borough of Ringwood is subject to the requirements of the local public bidding law, and as to procurement by which it may enter into contracts and may make purchases, and whereas the law under NJSA 40A:11-3 establishes the threshold amount for the contract purchase below which the Borough Contracting and Purchasing Agent is not required for publicly advertised bids for said contract to purchase. Whereas pursuant to this authority, the governor has raised the bid threshold to $44,000 and formal quote requirements to 50% of that, or $6,600, effective July 1st, 2020. And whereas the Borough Council wishes to conform to this amendment threshold and to grant its contracting and purchasing agent continuing authority to contract in accordance with the threshold requirement as it may be adjusted in the future under 40A:11-3. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Ringwood, Passaic County, State of New Jersey, that in accordance with 40A:11-3, the bid threshold amount below which the council contracting and purchasing agent is not required to publicly advertise for said bids, contract for purchases adjusted to be established at $44,000. Be it further resolved that formal quotes will be required for purchases of less than $6,600, will not be required for purchases of less than $6,600. Be it further resolved that pursuant to the same act, the Borough contracting and purchasing agent is hereby granted the general authorization to negotiate, make, and award contracts and purchases for the amounts that do not exceed that $44,000. We get quotes for things, anything. Listen, if you're going to go out for $500, I want to see 2 quotes anyway. So Debbie is the QPA for the Borough of Ringwood, and she asked if we would consider this resolution.
Thank you. I have a motion.
It's Ryan, I'll move it.
A second.
Spear, I'll second.
Roll call.
Mayor Schaefer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear,
Yes.
Councilmembers Bolton,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Matty Landis,
Yes.
McCracken,
Yes.
O'Keefe.
Yes.
I think Nicole's been holding all these resolutions so that I had to read them all the same night. So Resolution 2020-136, this is a resolution permitting an amendment to the threshold amount of contract, oh, I read that, I'm sorry. That's the one we just read.
Yes. 137, I think.
Okay, 137, I'm sorry. This is a resolution authorizing the Borough of Ringwood Tax Collector to prepare and mail estimated tax bills in accordance with PL 1974C-72. Whereas the Borough of Ringwood's 2020 municipal budget has been adopted and the County of Passaic is unable to certify that the borough's 2020 tax rate, and Ringwood Borough Tax Collector will be unable to mail out the borough's 2020 tax bills on a timely basis. And whereas the Ringwood Borough Tax Collector CFO has computed and estimated a tax levy in accordance with NJSA 50:4-66.3 and has signed a certification showing that the tax levies for the previous year, the tax rates, and the range of permitted estimated tax levies. And now therefore be it resolved that the Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood, County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, on this 16th day of June as follows. The Ringwood Borough Tax Collector is authorized and directed to prepare and issue estimated tax bills for the borough for the third installment of the 2020 taxes. The tax collector shall proceed and take such actions as permitted as required by PL 1974C-72. The entire tax levy of 2020 is hereby set at $56,645,593.02. The maximum amount that the borough will utilize in the preparation for the 2020 estimated bills is less than 105% of the 2019 calendar levy, and is hereby notified the State of New Jersey of the attached certified rate. In accordance with law, the third installment of the 2020 taxes shall not be subject to interest until the latter of August 10th, 2020, or the 25th calendar day after the date that the estimated tax bills were mailed. The estimated tax bills shall contain a notice specifying the date on which the interest shall accrue. Unfortunately, even though that we have been able to get our budget done and introduce and adopt our budget, the state revenues, I don't think, are ready, and the county can't certify that the tax bills. We need to have revenue, so we have to send out estimated tax bills. So we're going to send out an estimated tax bills. We don't like to do that. There's an extra cost. And sometimes there's a little extra, people are a little bit shocked when they see that sometimes, because sometimes it's a little higher. But we don't have a choice because we have to keep the revenue coming in. In accordance with the law, we would like to send out the estimated tax bills so that we can continue to pay all the bills.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Hi, it's Ryan, I'll move it. McCracken, I'll second that.
Roll call.
Mayor Schaefer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear,
Yes.
Councilmembers Bolton,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Matty Landis,
Yes.
McCracken,
Yes.
O'Keefe.
Yes.
Resolution 2020-138, whereas the Chief Financial Officer has certified that funds are available for the payment number 22 for the Skyline Lakes Property Owners Association Dam Restoration in the amount of $43,178.61 to be credited to the following account. For our scout that's on, the dams were repaired in all of the lakes, and we co-signed the loan, and we make the payments for the repayment of the loan after each homeowner or each lake owner makes their payments to us. So I don't know where I'm getting feedback from, but so that's what we're doing tonight. The borough is paying that bill of $43,178 for payment number 22. Mayor.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Madam Mayor, does anybody, any council persons reside in Skyline Lakes? Okay, thank you. That could be a conflict of interest issue, that's all. Thank you.
I'll make the motion.
Have a second?
It's Ryan, I'll second.
Roll call.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Abstain?
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Peretti?
Yes.
Matty-Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Thank you. The next resolution is 2020-139, and I'm going to yield to Mr. Klimek, but I'll read the title. This is a resolution authorizing early termination of the lease with the Ringwood Volunteer Ambulance Corps regarding Block 800, Lot 2, as designated on a tax map of the Borough of Ringwood. Mr. Klimek?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Heck. Yes, the Volunteer Ambulance Corps, as you know, has a lease with the borough that expires, it was for 25 years, it expires in about 2 years, of the cell tower on Canisi Drive, which is by Ringwood Commons. They would like to terminate that lease and turn over all rights to the borough. By all rights, they mean all rights to income from the locators on the tower, and at the same time, the borough will assume all of their responsibilities. As I said, it's going to terminate in 2 years anyway. The ambulance corps would just like to wrap it up and get it off their books earlier, if possible. What this resolution does is authorize the municipality to enter into an agreement terminating the said lease and accepting surrender of the premises and accepting responsibility for the ambulance corps responsibilities under the said lease. But the borough will now directly get the income from those leases. Any questions?
Would I have to recuse myself since I'm on the ambulance auxiliary, or that doesn't matter?
Yes, you should, yes.
Mr. Klimek, this is Kathy O'Keefe. Could I ask what the income from that cell tower is per year?
I don't have that with me this evening. I don't have that figure with me this evening.
I believe that I can get you that information, but I believe that the ambulance corps portion of that cell tower ended a couple of years ago. I think the last 5 years they weren't receiving funding, so it's a pass-through to the borough anyway. So I don't think we're receiving any additional funds, but I certainly can get you what the costs are that we receive currently.
Yeah, I'd like to know what the income is that it's producing per year and what the maintenance cost is per year. Since we'll be assuming not only the profit, but the maintenance from what I just heard, correct?
Well, maintenance of the tower itself, under the lease with Sprint and the other co-locators, the locators are 100% responsible for maintenance. Okay, the ambulance corps, the way the lease was designed 25 years ago, the ambulance corps leased that portion of the product. What happened is, first of all, the borough entered into a ground lease with the ambulance corps, who then subleased it to initially Sprint and AT&T. AT&T dropped out, so it's now Sprint and their assignees, which are some other parties. But all responsibility for maintenance is with the telecom locators.
So we're terminating that lease, is that correct? Are we having a new lease drawn up for the two remaining providers that are going to be on it?
No, we're assuming they're assigning those leases to us.
Okay, so we're the new leasee. Thank you. I mean leaseor.
Lessor.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Councilman Peretti, I'll move it.
Have a second?
I'll second it. It's Ryan.
Roll call.
Mayor Schaefer?
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Peretti?
Yes.
Matty-Landis?
I have to abstain as well.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Yes.
And for the record, both of you abstained because you are members of the
Ambulance
ambulance corps.
auxiliary.
Yeah, that's correct, Scott.
Yes. Mr. Heck, are there any other resolutions?
There are not. I have a few in my manager's report, but nothing at this point.
Okay, all right. Consent agenda resolution.
Consent agenda resolution 2020-140, whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Ringwood has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, and whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Ringwood is not desirous of removing any resolution from individual action from the agenda. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. 2020-140 is the actual consent agenda. 2020-141 is approval of avoided checks. 142 is the approval of payroll transfers for May of 2020. 143 is authorized redemption of tax sale certificates. 144 is professional services payment, construction inspection supervision, Erskine Road, Lakeview Avenue Improvement Project, phases 1 and 2, contracts number 2019-21 for $5,640. Professional services payment for vestibule modifications, Borough Hall. 146 is professional services payment, Erskine Road, Lakeview Avenue roadway and drainage improvement, part number 2, contract number 2019-07 for $2,450. 147 is refund overpayment of 2020 property taxes, block 881, lot 4, block 723, lot 23, excuse me. I'm sorry, block 723, lot 23. And 148 is the approval of Chapter 159 Sustainable New Jersey PSE&G grant. We received that grant. We bring that in as a Chapter 159 so that we can spend against it. Mayor, that's the consent agenda this evening.
Thank you. Can I have a motion on the consent agendas?
Kraken, I'll make the motion.
Manuel Landis, I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Ferretti?
Yes.
Mario Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes. All right, thank you. Mr. Heck, do you need to take a break?
No, I have a little bit of water here.
Oh,
It doesn't help that it is 80 degrees in here.
I know. See, I wouldn't mind it.
That will be fixed tomorrow.
Manager's report.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. Some good news today. I'd like to update you on the coronavirus, and we try to often update what's going on. I don't want to overdo it, but we certainly don't want to underdo it. And I agree that we want to make sure that people remain vigilant. That social distancing, masks is so important, and we've done so well here in Ringwood. I would not want that to turn in a different direction. But as of today, we've had 129 cases. Of the 129 cases, 120 have recovered. One person is hospitalized, and unfortunately, we have had 5 deaths. I'm happy to report that there have not been any positive cases since June 2nd, and we only have current cases, or cases that have not been recovered, 9. And that's terrific. But again, we certainly don't want anybody to be thinking that that means that it's safe, that you should not social distance and do any of those things. So we are still encouraging everybody to continue with their mitigation efforts. Wash your hands, social distance, masks are recommended if you're not social distancing if possible. It's important. It's really important that we continue that and make sure that we get all the way through this. Our health clinics, our child health clinics are going to resume again on July 7th. Some of our immunizations, some of the children are behind. We have to start those things, and of course, the health department will make sure that that's done in an appropriate manner. We are planning to have some antibody testing for our first responders and our borough employees very soon. We're working with a lab. I shouldn't say we. That our health officer, Kathy Scribala, is working with a lab to try and get that done. We believe that there's some real benefit to that, so we're going to be doing that very soon. Our health department is also working with the businesses and the lakes and the daycares and the schools that are reopening. We're being very active with all of these things because, again, we want to make sure that everybody's safe, and we want to make sure that everybody's following the rules. We know that the guidelines change daily, and sometimes the guidelines are different in writing than they are verbally. So it's important that we stay involved with all of that. So we're going to continue to do that. Very positive note, on Monday, June 15th, this last Monday, Passaic County provided 500 boxes of foods to communities in Ringwood that were in need. They've been doing that throughout every community, and they were here last Monday. I was happy to see that there were people taking advantage of that. And also next week, June 24th, Passaic County is going to have their COVID testing here at Borough Hall from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's actually going to be behind Borough Hall in the parking lot by the ball field, but come to Borough Hall and they will guide you there. The testing is free to Passaic County residents. You must show your ID. I will tell you, though, this is a saliva test, so the residents must not drink a lot of liquids prior to, smoke or chew gum 1 hour prior to the test, because they need a lot of that saliva in order to get enough product to do the test. We've been working with Passaic County both on these type of things, and Mr. DeNova has calls weekly, a couple times a week that we all attend, and I certainly want to thank the county on their efforts. They keep us up to date where they can, they participate where they can, and they try to assist, so I want to thank them for that. Some other good news is that Ringwood Public Library will begin phase 1 reopening hours. Lobby pickup will begin June 17th. The hours are going to be Monday through Thursday, 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Friday will be 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday will be 10 to 2. The library also has special hours for at-risk population from Monday through Friday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. For more information, please go to the library website at www.ringwoodlibrary.org or give them a call at 962-6256 for more information.
And Mr. Scott, just to interrupt you a second, the library is very happy that they're able to do this. Please, people take advantage of it.
We certainly have gotten a lot of calls for the library to be open, and I know that the library's gotten a lot of calls for the library to be open, so we're happy to see that happening. This evening, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Skyline Drive bike bridge. And, last year, one of the callers had mentioned that they would have liked to have seen that us apply, but when we went to the county to apply for the bridge over Skyline Drive, they would rather that we withdrew that application and instead focused on the engineering and the planning, because we provided Jeff's estimate for the work, and they would rather have all the permits and stuff. So the county planning department's been working with us on a bicycle bridge over Erskine Brook. I received an email from them, I think last Thursday. I'm not sure what day it is, but I think last Thursday. Scott, I hope that this finds you well. Okay, we'll skip all that stuff. At this point, we've received a scope of work and a cost estimate from our consultant engineer to complete the work. As a result of the cost estimates, we've requested an increase in funding from the Highlands Council, which awarded the original grant funding for the work. While we await the county approval, the county is requesting a resolution of support from the borough in order to formalize the support before moving forward. The resolution must also provide documentation of coordination. We have already completed with the understanding in the final engineering construction. The maintenance of the bridge will be excuse me, let me start again. The resolution will provide documentation of the coordination we have already completed with the understanding that the final engineering construction, the maintenance of the bridge will be the responsibility of the borough of Ringwood. The activities will be undertaken by the county, and be included in the scope of work will include the following: complete the topography survey for the project, identify and delineate regulated water, wetlands, state open waters, tidal bank of the project limits and so forth, the flood hazard and floodway of Erskine Brook based upon the New Jersey DEP mapping and include an overlay of the topography survey, conceptual design of the pedestrian plan over Erskine Brook and the Skyline Drive, and we'll design the identified major structural components of the bridge, a cost estimate for the pedestrian bicycle bridge. Based upon the wetlands and flood hazard area, identify 2 potential locations for the bridge as it relates to the New Jersey DEP, the flood hazard area, the wetlands permitting, and so forth. Conceptual site and grading plan, a cost estimate based upon the alternative plan. At this point, they'd like to work with me to draft a formal resolution, which we did today, for that work. One of the things that we've talked about a lot over the last couple of years is, if the rail trail is going to come to Ringwood, we need to get the bike somehow and the pedestrians somehow from Greenwood Lake Turnpike to the shopping area, and for our lakes to be able to cross Skyline Drive in some safe manner. when we put the traffic light in, we put it with a potential for being able to cross Skyline Drive, because we knew at some point that would be the solution so that we can provide access. Unfortunately, just past the traffic light, there's a bridge, there's a culvert that doesn't have any shoulder. So we knew that was a pinch point in any plans to expand the rail trail or the bike path, so we knew that this was something that had to be done, which is why last year I went down to the planning department and we met and talked about this and worked out a plan where the county was going to do the things that they just outlined that they're going to do going forward. So Nicole, what's the next resolution this evening?
2020-149.
149. So I have a resolution, and this is going to sound familiar because it's very similar to one we passed 2 years ago. And that was for the grant when we were applying for some of this work. Resolution 2020-149, a resolution supporting the County of Passaic in completing the conceptual engineering activities associated with the proposed bicycle and pedestrian bridge over Erskine Brook along Skyline Drive. Whereas the Borough of Ringwood is desirous in pursuing the feasibility study of constructing a bicycle and pedestrian bridge over Erskine Brook along Skyline Drive, which is known as Passaic County Route 511. Whereas Passaic County was awarded a New Jersey Highlands Council protection grant to hire a consultant to perform the conceptual engineering activities to determine the feasibility, potential alignment, and the cost estimate of the proposed bicycle and pedestrian bridge. And whereas the scope of work and responsibilities to complete the conceptual engineering for a bicycle and pedestrian bridge has been the subject of meetings with the Borough of Ringwood staff and the administration leading up to and following the county grant award. And whereas the county has received a design proposal for the conceptual engineering in the proposed bike paths and the pedestrian bridge, and will act as a the project manager in completing the initial phase of the coordination of the Borough of Ringwood. I don't know why it's telling me that I need battery. That's usually an indication that you talk too long. Whereas the Borough of Ringwood bears the responsibility to perform the final engineering, construction, and the construction inspection activities, and whereas in the event the bicycle bridge is constructed, the Borough of Ringwood would bear the responsibility for any and all maintenance of the activities. Now therefore be it resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Ringwood hereby support the County of Passaic in completing the conceptual engineering for the proposed bike and pedestrian bridge over Erskine Road along Skyline Drive, with the borough bearing the responsibility of any future and final engineering, construction inspections, and maintenance activities. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to Passaic County. So for a resolution this evening, I request, this is a follow-up on what we were talking about last year. So Mayor, if you would like to have that for consideration, I appreciate that.
Can I have a motion?
Have your.
I can alternate that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please. Yes.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Peretti?
Yes.
Matty Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
What was the number of that resolution? I'm sorry.
149, I believe.
Yep.
49. Okay, thank you. Okay. Mr. Hack, you have.
Yeah, I have a bunch more stuff. I'm sorry. You guys got to pass the last two meetings. I've got a couple of things to clean up here. Our pump station, our main producing pump station in the borough that does the water down at Skyline Lakes pump station, we have 3 variable speed pumps in there that generates tremendous amount of heat. So we need to keep that building cool. Because once those units get overheated, it doesn't usually end well. They usually fry the pumps. So unfortunately, we have the 27-year-old air conditioning system is inconsistent, and we're getting some heat alarms. So we would like to replace those 2 the air conditioning units in that structure. So I have a bid, and what I did this time was to make it a little more cost effective for us. I broke it down where I bought the materials, and I'm having a contractor actually install it. We have to do some retrofit to make this fit in, because they don't make these type of units anymore, ceiling units. So
Scott, I had a quick question on that. With the pumps, wasn't that included in the energy audit that we did last year?
yeah, unfortunately, the energy audit, we've been trying to get them for 2.5 months. to respond to us so that we can get some of these things going, and they are either all furloughed or not. My internet is unstable. Wow, that's not good. So we were not able to actually get in touch with them. They are all furloughed, and that program is I guess, shut down at this point. So we can't wait anymore. I've been trying for a couple of months, so I have to go ahead and get this program going, because if we lose one of those pumps, they range from $6,000 to $80,000 a piece. So this evening, I have for you two proposals. One resolution is for PJM for the actual installation of the 6-ton unit, as well as the secondary, for $11,424.93. If I can have that motion for resolution 150.
Ryan, I'll move it.
Patty Landis, I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer? Mayor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Peretti?
Yes.
Matteo Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
And the next one is for Lou Schwab and Case of Fairfield, New Jersey, for the equipment involved of $12,346 and no cents. And we're going to be paying that direct.
May I have a motion?
So that's resolution 151.
John Spear, I'll move that.
McCracken, I'll second that.
Roll call.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Councilmembers Bolton?
Yes.
Peretti?
Yes.
Matteo Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Thank you. As all of you know, the Church of the Good Shepherd next door has a 42-foot shallow well that was really done a lot of years ago that wasn't really permitted, it wasn't treated, and they were getting some hits of lead and whatnot within their water system. We determined that it had nothing to do with the Upper Ring Superfund site, but all of you were gracious enough. I gave you a proposal to between you guys would pay for all the costs, give us the machines, and we would use a lot of DPW labor to install. The DPW would also donate their time to install the water main into the church next door to maintain that they can stay active and they can still remain an active place for meeting for the community. So we've completed that. We tied in the water main. We did some other improvements as we went. They now have safe drinking water that's treated, and they don't have to worry about how they were going to manage a shallow well that was under the influence of groundwater. And so I'm happy to do that. I want to thank the DPW guys that donated their time. It was a great project, and I think the church is happy. So I just wanted to report that to all of you. I don't know if any of you had a chance to take a look at it. I know Councilman Spear was here. But I think it was.
Yes. Yeah, Mr. Hack. I figured you told me to take a look at that place for a reason. You guys did good work. What would it take to complete the job, pave this thing? We have the Ford money sitting on the side there. You can finally clean this. Clean that driveway up. You did quite a bit of work going around the whole east side of it.
Yeah, we did disturb some of the driveway. We were going to do some patching over there. I would much rather, I think it would be better for the church, I think it would be better for all those involved, if instead of just patching a quarter of the driveway, that we pave the whole thing. I looked at it. I was going to try and do it when we did it with the Borough Hall parking lot in some capacity. I was going to look for donations. Now's not the time to be asking people to donate to pave the parking lot. So. But I do have a cost. I think it's going to be about $10,000 to pave that lot. We did put base in when we went over the top of the water main. So,
do you need a resolution to go ahead? Was that within your purchasing authority?
It's within my purchasing authority. But if you are suggesting that we.
Okay, very good. I'd like to make a motion that the DPW look at putting a final paving on that Church of the Good Shepherd parking lot to be paid for out of the what would we call that? Ford money.
I'll get the account number.
I second that, Councilman Ferretti.
So what you really mean is that you're authorizing the borough manager to get quotes to pave that lot.
Get contract with and complete that job.
Right. With the expectation that it's going to be in the range of $10,000. I'll get 2 quotes for that.
Of course.
I certainly think that
Of
would.
course, it's a small job and it could be done in an afternoon, and it should be done.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Ferretti?
Councilman Ferretti?
Yes.
Matteo Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
I just had a quick question regarding the Ford money.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something we should dip into, but I want to know how much is in there still and what constitutes a good reason to dip into it.
I can tell you that you have the last statement from that. As a matter of fact, there was much debate about it last year, so you have the statement for that.
Yeah.
And I think that there's.
Year?
Pardon me?
I said, I'm sorry, Scott, but I haven't seen it in over a year, so I don't recall the amount.
I believe it's like 1.2 million. I can get you the exact dollar amount. I don't think there's been
Thank
charges
you.
against it. But I can think of no better.
I can't either, but the thing I'm concerned about is it's that community that has suffered the most from all of the port activity up in that area. So I was wondering if that 1.2 million be dedicated to helping the community. I know last year you used it to reduce taxes for the greater community, but as we know, they have suffered the most. So this 10,000, absolutely. But I just want to know what constitutes good reason and how can we allocate more money of this 1.2 million to be allocated to help the people of Upper Ringwood who have been the most impacted by this debacle. Thank you. And yes, I say yes to the resolution.
Thank you.
Okay. In order to answer that, I think that there's probably no better cause right now than to the CAG meets there. We disrupted 25% of the parking lot, putting in a water main to ensure that they continue to meet there and they continue to have a church and a community place. So I think it's, since we're not using taxpayer dollars, it made sense that the folks of Upper Ringwood would benefit from finalizing the payment on that. So I can get you all the, I will get you all the totals if you so want. But having said that, you guys can have a greater discussion. And it wasn't it was everybody in town who benefited from buying down the debt last year.
If I may speak, this is John Spear. Councilwoman O'Keefe, if you have an idea, bring it forth for discussion. Just bring it forth for discussion, and we can have this discussion.
Don't we have? Go ahead.
Pardon me?
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, John.
No, don't we have what? We can have this discussion. We can have this discussion in an adversarial public forum, if you like. We can sit down and talk about it, okay? But bring forth an idea that you see as fitting, and we'll talk about it.
Thank you, John. I'm glad you did that. Have a
Okay, I'm going to continue with my manager's report. I'm sorry. Through the pump station with Richard. Okay, I'm also happy to say that we have I've appointed a new sergeant. One of our, Doug Faber, we have appointed as sergeant. He's been a police officer in Ringwood since 2008. He's a former Ringwood dispatcher. He was the former Skyline Lakes fire chief. He's a Ringwood Dare officer. He's an accident reconstruction expert. He's received numerous awards for his police service. and he was promoted to fill Sergeant Hill's position when he retired. We also have a new police officer who finished the academy in spite of this COVID-19 disaster. It was bumpy to get a full academy through, but she graduated. So our new police officer, Danielle Felton, she's a graduate from the Bergen County Police Academy on June 11th, 2020. She's a graduate from John Jay College with a BS in degree in criminal justice. She's a former police intern for Passaic County Prosecutor's Office. New Jersey State Police and Prosecutor's Office of New Jersey State Police. She's a 911 dispatcher for North Caldwell Police Department. She's a former dispatcher for here, and she's also a former Skyline Lakes fireman. As you can see, both of these people were very qualified, and we certainly welcome both the promotion and the individual to our team. Stonetown Road. The DOT saga has finally ended. The 10-ton weight restriction for Stonetown Road has been approved. The signs have been ordered, and we expect them shortly. We have had the electronic sign out there advising people that there's a 10-ton limit in place. We will start enforcing once all of the signs have been completed. I'm pleased to announce this, that we've provided some assistance to the restaurants. I know there was a little bit of discussion about it, but we felt that in today's day and age, eating outside in a healthy environment was good. Also, providing some space outside when we know they can't have inside was a much needed improvement. It didn't cost us very much because we got donations from the reservoir for the concrete block, and our DPWs installed them and put the fencing in. So I'm pleased that we've been able to assist these restaurants and to provide some outdoor dining. The people who are taking advantage of the program that we've issued approvals to are Lakeside Diner, Skyline Lake Day Camp, Maggie's, Luigi's, and I think there's a couple other that are coming in shortly. The luncheonette is eventually going to be coming forward, but they haven't applied yet, but they said they're going to be. We've also looked at some of the other businesses, how we can help. We know that we have a lot of fitness places in town, and how can they start to operate and function. So we've, Struck Fitness is going to start conducting exercise classes at the Stonetown Ball Field, and anywhere we can, if we can offer an opportunity to a business, we're going to try to, because they're all suffering. So we made that offer to every fitness place in town, and I think a few people will be taking advantage of that soon. Since the beginning, we have been documenting, because we have anticipated FEMA funds for this for quite some time, so we've been documenting all of our costs. We've been documenting our time, and we're quite ready to do that. We've been doing it for years for all the FEMA projects. We've decided not to go that route. We decided to go with the CARES Act. As you know, that the county received, I think, $87 million from the federal government to assist the local communities. They received this because we have more than 500,000 residents in the county, so they received it directly. I think the others are going to be applying individually. So we're working on all those applications for the costs incurred. They're significant, and we'll continue to keep you updated as that goes. And that's going to be a help to all of us to try and offset, because we have spent a significant amount of money making sure we have PPE, making sure the cleaning products, individuals that were furloughed, police officers that had to go home because they tested positive, and working here with limited staff. So there's a lot of costs associated with all this. It adds up very quickly. So that's gonna be a huge benefit to us. Any questions on that? I'm gonna grab a sip here if I can.
I had a quick question, Scott, on that. You said $1 million that was allocated, is that correct?
I think they received 87 million and change and it's based upon population.
So what does our population grant us in the CARES Act?
Well, I think if you calculate it all out, if you did it dollar for dollar, I don't think it's going to be that way, because when you do the population, that means the county doesn't get any. But if you did it, if you calculated it all out, forgetting the county taking anything, and let's be honest, the county spent millions and millions of dollars, so you would have to back that out. It's about $2 million. They've only authorized like a third of that per each municipality at this point, but it's a reimbursable dollar amount. It has to be spent by December 30th. It has to be a qualifying item, and it has to be expended by the Borough of Ringwood directly for costs. So we have to pay for it and then get it back.
Could you provide us with a list of all the reimbursable qualifying items that fall into this?
No.
And what your?
No, you know why? Because it's a moving target, and we're trying. What we're doing is we're sending in questions, we're sending in items, and Helen and I have done this for years with FEMA, and it sounds like it's an easy thing. Just give me the list and but it's not that easy. You have to justify your positions. You have to work for it. You have to show what you've actually spent. Like PPE is easy. You know, if we bought PPE, personal protective equipment, that is obviously an item that's covered. Contact tracing, you know, all those type of things. So it's intricate and it's ever moving, and we have to be careful that if we apply for something, they pay us, and then when they come back and audit it, we have to give that money back. So we're really looking at it very closely, because 2 years from now they'll come back to us and said this wasn't qualified, and you owe us that. So
it's kind of grant writing. Is that similar?
It's not really grant writing. It's reading and interpreting, getting follow-up questions with them, and getting them to approve some of the larger expenditure items that you may have. It's a time-consuming process. We've been very successful at it with all the FEMA projects. What's nice about this program through the federal government administered by the county is that while FEMA is a 75% reimbursable, the county, the federal money through the county is 100%. So we don't have a 25% deductible. So I would love to be able to tell you more details. We're still working through all of that. It's not something that we can just use cavalierly. It's very controlled and very
I would assume so, and it should be. Could you just send me the guidelines they sent to you? Is that possible, or is that too much?
They haven't really established. They're working. What they're doing is we're all emailing questions, and they're developing these guidelines as they go. So it's just not that simple. As soon as I can get something, I'll share it with all of you.
Thank you.
And let's see. So the CARES Act. So any other questions on the CARES Act? No other questions. Okay. I'm happy to report that Venkatol versus the Borough of Ringwood has ended. As many of you know, Venkatol filed an Oprah request for almost 9,000 pages of documents plus several hundred maps. The only thing the borough was requesting that was due to the vast volume of material that there needed to be a cost paid by the requester, because the residents of Ringwood should not be paying for such a request. From the beginning, I stated to Ms. Tall that regarding her original request, that all, if not most, if not all, of the documents requested would probably not be confidential and would be available. But I just didn't feel that the cost and the burden of those 9,000 pages should be borne by the taxpayers, especially when all of this information was available through the EPA. I'm happy to report that the Government Records Council agreed with our position. I do think that this Oprah request is all Oprah requests that are onerous it's unfortunate that any person who files a Oprah request and doesn't like the outcome, they can file a complaint with the GRC via email, and then the municipality has to spend thousands and thousands of dollars defending itself. I'm happy that it was determined that the request was an undue burden on the Ringwood, and that the requester, and ultimately she didn't agree with the service charge, so the litigation was ended, and so that's over. I think we really need to have some Oprah revisions to the laws, because this type of thing is a problem, and we're not the only municipality that it experiences it. But when you can send an email, you don't have to have any representation, and we have to have representation, and we have to have professionals, and we have to submit filings. It's really an unfair burden. But anyway, that's done, and that's over with, so we don't probably have to talk about it again. Tourism. We talked a little bit about tourism today, and I'm going to try and play you a video in a minute if I can. But we're having some significant problems with all tourism in town. I'm sure you've all watched it on social media. We're paying officers for overtime, and if it continues, we're really going to have to hire some more officers, because the state park response time is just not good on the weekends. Remember, they have to take care of all of North Jersey, and it's mainly the weekends that are the problem. But in addition to the parking problems, we're having so many people leave their garbage on residence property, in the woods, on the roads. We have constant requests for people to for us to clean up other people's stuff where they leave all over town. In addition, we're having some people that maybe have too much water in the woods that are relieving themselves on people's properties, streets, all over, and we're getting lots of complaints. You don't have to go far along the county roads to realize we cleaned them all up not that long ago, and they're riddled with litter. I've been talking to some of the delis and the stores that are open for takeout, and I said, are you seeing any increase with all these activities? Because we have cars everywhere. There's hundreds and hundreds of cars that are parked on streets all over, and they say that they don't see any uptick of sales for all these people that are in town. I sent you all some letters from the chief. He believes that there's significant, our population almost double, is when all the parks are open, our population is almost going to double on weekends. So that's something that we really have to look into and address. Some of these places that are having problems are Snake Den Road, Dale Road, Tulip, Ellen Street, Skylands Road, White Road, Darmstadt Road, Ricker Road, Crescent Drive, and this is just to name a few. The Stonetown Ball Field, we had to take the dumpsters out of there because people are walking in the woods. There's no activities going on. They're walking in the woods. They're dumping their garbage all over the parking lot, and they're filling our dumpsters with all kinds of things. So anywhere there's parking problems, we also have garbage problems. I'm going to see if I can play you this video. I don't know that I can down here. We're going to try, if I can.
Scott, not to interrupt you,
Okay.
but I know you've gotten letters, emails, and so have I, about, up on Stonetown Road, Ellen Road, and which is a big safety issue with people parking cars where fire department will never get in there, or ambulances to help any of those people if they had a problem. So I thank you, they thank you for the last weekend of signs went up and no parking on the corners. So they were great.
I have to tell you, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
The last 2 months has really been a disaster. Doesn't look like it's going to let me play it, but I will send it to each of you. There's a video of hundreds and hundreds of cars on Snake Den, Ellen, and Tulip. It's a 1.5 lane road as it is over by Weiss Ecology Center. And when I tell you hundreds, the police had to back people up to get out. It's a disaster.
Yep.
And I know I sent you also some of the emails from some of the people, but when I tell you that there's so many emails, it's incredible. So along with tourism comes some costs and some other things. And I think that we need to be careful about, until you have the infrastructure, you have to be careful what you ask for. You might just get it, and I'm telling you, it's all over town. And Skylands Road is an example. The poor folks there, people are parking all over. They're going into the park. When they get to the end of the park's gates closed on the weekends, so you can't get through. I would hate to try and make that any worse than it already is, but as of right now, the community is really under siege by people from outside of the community coming here because obviously they want to walk and they want to hike, but we don't have the wherewithal to handle all these things. All these trailheads and all these places that are advertised, they don't have any parking lots. They don't have any places to appropriately get off the road. And if think about some of these neighborhoods, let's say the kids biking, now they're going around hundreds of cars in a 1-lane road. It's a problem. So I really think that we have to focus on the problem at hand. Unfortunately, I can't play that, but I have a police report from the chief, and he said since the state of emergency in various parks, we've had 13 complaints filed, 14 lost hikers, 8 calls for service, 3 missing people, and a water rescue. The state park, unfortunately, on many of those things, they get here, but they get here with 1 police car, and they don't have any. They can't manage it, so we have to handle it. When Skylands and Ringwood Manor are open 50%, there are approximately 1,200 people per day per park. When 100% is allowed, there'll be 2,400 people a day per park. Although the state park has the jurisdiction over these parks, our officers will always be the first responders to the state park because they have limited resources with 2 officers for northern New Jersey with a response time of up to 45 minutes. So we really need to address this in some capacity, and while we're talking about encouraging walkable, bikeable, which is a good thing, we also have to remember that we're experiencing this now, and our residents who are near these same areas are currently having problems and desperately asking for help.
This Kathy O'Keefe, Scott, thank you for that report. I saw the emails, I saw the letters that were sent to you, and I've heard from people on Skylands Road about the problem. My question is, you put up no parking, I guess, on Ellen for the residents. According to Mayor Schaefer, she just said that they were thankful for some actions that you took. My question is, Oakland took a lot of action real early in this whole COVID pandemic time to limit parking up on top of Skyline Drive. It's understandable that there is a lot of people coming to beautiful Ringwood and to the state parks in a time where nothing else is available. So it's not surprising. What's important is that we protect our residents by reacting and putting up emergency no parking on those side streets so that they're not inconvenienced. I certainly wouldn't compare what's going on now to normal times when the pandemic is over, and so I don't see your correlation between ecotourism and not moving forward with the bike plan. And the other thing I want to mention is there is a silver lining on all of this. People are coming from New York, they're coming from everywhere, and they're discovering our beautiful town. There are bidding wars going on in this town for the few properties that are currently listed. And it's because there's this new trend. Instead of people moving to cities, they're moving to open spaces. Ringwood offers that, and a lot of people are discovering that for the first time, just like a lot of our ancestors did when they left New York during hot summers to come and find a beautiful place to hunt and fish and hike. So it is a benefit to our neighbors, and it certainly isn't the norm. It's a part of the pandemic, and as we see things open up, like our beaches and everything else, I'm sure it will subside. And perhaps this is something that you can utilize, that $2 million in funding from this county, considering how much it's cost you in extra police. But thank you for your report.
Actually, the only monies that could be reimbursed are overtime relative to COVID-19, and we could create an interesting way to try and present some of that stuff. But please don't put words in my mouth. Nowhere did I tell you that I didn't think we should support a bike path. What I was merely telling you, and I will repeat it, if we're going to bring more tourists here when our residents are calling here feverishly objecting to the hundreds and possibly thousands of cars that are here, and I'm going to repeat these list of roads. Snake Den Road. I'm sorry, Linda.
And the garbage.
And the garbage is incredible. Snake Den Road, Skylands Road, White Road, Darmstadt Road, Ricker Road, Dale Road, Ellen Street, Crescent Drive, Skylands Road, Sloatsburg Road. When the park was full, they're parking there. They're parking everywhere. The garbage is incredible, And merely what I'm suggesting is that we might want to think about it. If we're going to invite people to hike and bike, and we're gonna try and have people explore these great outdoors, maybe the state, since they're advertising it, should create parking lots for these places to go, because to bring them here to burden our residents is probably irresponsible. And I think that we should be proactive and think ahead before we go marching down a path without a solution. Look what's happening now. I'm going to be honest that the Weiss Ecology Center has been advertising for a long time. That's why there's 300 cars on that street. That's why you can't get a fire truck up it, because people have decided that, this is a great place to go, and it probably is. But so merely what I'm suggesting is, as we're thinking about these plans, times change. I don't think this is going away anytime soon. People aren't traveling the way they did. They're going to be coming here for a long time. We ought to plan so that we have a place for them to go if in fact we're going to be expanding on that. So
I would agree with that, Scott. It is important that we protect our residents and that we have parking, but this is an extraordinary time. Isn't there any measures you can take?
Well, I'm going to finish.
To help them with
I'm gonna try
parking
and,
limitations.
I'm gonna try and finish my statement, but, we did, remember Skyline Drive has a quarter of a mile section that they manage. We're talking about a lot of miles of road that we have to put signs up. We also have to acknowledge that if we put no parking on these roads, the residents can't park there either. So if you have a party, or you have guests, or you have some of these roads that don't have any parking, we can't say parking for residents only. That's not something that the police can enforce. What we've been doing is putting up parking signs, like on Ellen Street. We did 50 feet each side of the intersection so the poor lady could get her motorhome home, because she couldn't physically get it turned into her street.
Right, I read that.
You know, we've been trying, we've helped John Burry by giving him signs, but it's not enough. And we have to make sure that the public safety is taken care of. And, you know, unfortunately, Northern Green, that's the access to Northern Green. So, again, I just want to be clear that nowhere did I suggest that we shouldn't. I was the first person that
Oh,
said.
good, I'm glad.
I just
to hear
think.
that, because that's basically for our residents, not for tourists coming into the town.
Well, unfortunately, we heard some of the speakers today talking about tourism, and tourism is great. I would love to see our tourism help with our economy. I would like to see some of those costs go into our businesses, but it's right now costing us money. It's costing a significant dollar amount, and we have to figure out a way that makes sense.
I agree with you 100% that tourism isn't our first priority, but the bike and pedestrian plan helps our residents more so than it would anybody visiting our town.
So, Mayor, now that I'm done with my report, I'm going to send it over to you. I just, again, ask everybody to stay well, stay healthy, and please listen to those guidelines that we keep sending out.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Klimak, do you have any?
No report, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Next is second public comment. Is there anyone, Mr. Heck, that would like to speak?
It doesn't appear so.
Okay, so can I have a motion to close public portion?
So moved. Matty Landis.
McCracken, I'll second that.
Okay. Roll call?
Mayor Schaefer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear,
Yes.
Council Members Bolton,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Matty Landis,
Yes.
McCracken,
Yes.
O'Keefe. Kathy?
O'Keefe? Kathy?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Now is, Mayor, members of the council, Councilman Gray.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Addressing the gentleman that spoke at the first public portion about potential payment plan for waiving of late fees for the sewage. Is there a potential payment plan that we offer them if they don't have that at the moment? He said that he didn't see one. Is there one that we have in place?
Councilman, what we've tried to do, and I spoke to Mr. Wunsch, and so did Nicole at length, and we don't have the authority really necessarily to waive it. We told him, and we've told others, we're not shutting your sewer off, we're not turning your water off. Pay the bills that are more important first. We will work something out with most of you, which we have been doing. Is that correct, Nicole?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we've been working with everybody. I just don't have the authority to waive the fees, and that's not as simple as you might think in an authority. But so really, how we've been handling it is we continue to assess it. We do not give them shut-off notices. We changed our message. We did all that stuff just to say, hey, listen, we may be able to deal with it down the road, but as of right now, we've been working with everybody.
I have a quick question for this guy.
I'm sorry, maybe we could look into if we can use the CARES Act money to waive late fees for our residents.
I'll ask, Councilman.
Another thing is that we had a number of people, it seemed like at least 10 people call in in support of the bike and pedestrian plan. And I think we have a resolution prepared last minute to move forward. Just really, I think, gives you the authority to, actually that's not, it gives us the authority to move forward in figuring out what our dollar amount will afford us relative to how far on the plan we can go. Is that something that you have that we can move forward with, or can I read it? Or somebody who has it open in their email? I'm pretty sure it was passed around, am I wrong?
No, I didn't get any.
Mayor, I sent, it was late, I received from Councilwoman
The
O'Keefe.
email that you sent us on it.
It was like 10 to 5 I got it, so I sent it to everybody, but I didn't have a chance to read it.
Okay.
We had our insurance company training meeting tonight for all the council members, so most of them were on that, a little after 6.
So table that till next meeting, or can we read it out loud and do it?
Rob, I have it here opened if you'd like me to read it out loud for you, or if you have a copy.
Councilman O'Keefe, can you wait until it's your turn?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Just trying to help.
All right, well, that's really all I have. As you know from the last meeting, I support us moving forward with what we can afford with our funds that are allocated. I'm not looking to raise taxes over it, but every year we put money into our open space funds. And what's justified, I think this is justified spending of that money. So I look forward to us moving forward with that. That's all I have for this evening. I wish everybody safety, and please be careful out there. Don't take it lightly, even though everything's opening up COVID-19. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Mateo Landis.
Thank you, Mayor. Also addressing the gentleman in regards to waiving of late fees, that is something that I would most definitely be in favor of during these times. If people are able to come up with the payments and they're a little late, they should not be penalized during this time. So if that's something that we can take action on, that's something that I would definitely be in favor of. Also, in public session, Mr. Martin had said to continue to be vigilant as commerce reopens. And I would definitely say the same. The virus is not gone. Just because we're reopening, the virus is not gone. And so I would tell people to please be careful at the lakes, in the lake areas, be careful when, as things reopen, with what you're doing. I'm seeing a lot of pictures on social media, and people are in really close proximity with a lot of different people. Just continue to be vigilant and do what we're being told to do, because this is not the end of it. We're in a little bit of a hiatus, I think, but it's not the end. So I would just urge people to continue to be really vigilant with that.
Thank you. Councilman McCracken.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. A couple things. One of our callers before, Ms. Shu, she was talking about the walkable, bikeable path causing some of the streets are going to have to be widened around the lakes. I wasn't aware that the streets around the lakes would also have to be widened, but I don't know how our property owners and taxpayers in town here would feel about some of their properties being allocated, basically taken, and then repaved. Another thing too, this plan that we're talking about is 10 years old, am I right?
Yes.
Mr. Heck?
Yes.
Right, I can't be sure that the financial burden from this isn't gonna fall on the taxpayers of Ringwood, right? I can't see this plan that was developed 10 years ago still costing the same. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's not gonna be that way. And finally, also, I have to echo Mr. Heck's sentiment about all the increased traffic on our roads with the parks. I personally now will not take my kids to any of our parks in town here because of the traffic, the crowds, the congestion. It's not what I want to do with my kids. It's not a good environment right now, and I hope that this will end because I'm really kind of tired of it, actually. And finally, happy Father's Day for all the fathers out there for next weekend. And since we won't see you until next month, happy Independence Day. Hope everyone stays safe during it, enjoys themselves.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councilwoman O'Keefe.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would first like to ask, could we do a resolution to waive late fees during the pandemic?
I think we could do that. I would have to talk to the order about how we do that. Do you know off the top of your head?
It's gonna be similar to the taxes, I believe.
It's gonna be, yeah, we have to get authority to do that. The interest rate is 1.5%. And, you know, the governor only gave us certain authorities, so I would have to look into that, and I certainly, again, we're not forcing anybody, we're not pushing anybody, so I could have that for you for August, to see what.
There's no way to have
I'm
it
sorry,
by
Jill,
July?
I'm sorry. We're working crazy hours, I meant July.
Okay. And at the last meeting, I did talk about the bike and pedestrian plan, and I requested that we vote on it at this meeting. I was surprised to see that there was no resolution. So I submitted one this evening. That's the email you didn't get to, Linda. So the resolution is in support of the implementation of the Borough of Ringwood's bicycle pedestrian plan funded by the New Jersey Department of Transportation, Local Technical Assistance
I
Program.
did get it. I have it in front of me.
Okay, so then you can read along with me. This is what I'm proposing tonight. I would like to propose that we vote on this amendment that was distributed to all members of the council prior to the meeting and which was spoken about at the last meeting. The bike and pedestrian plan will help our residents, and I did speak with realtors in the Coldwell Banker, the only real estate office in town, and most of them, in fact, the majority of them, all support it because they know that by having these types of plans in town, as Cheryl Fuchs spoke to, will increase the property value of our properties. Not only are people discovering Ringwood, but they're also, this is something that would even complement what we have here even further. Plus, it will reduce the number of children we have on school buses going back to school. If they can get to school safely by walking or biking. That should be a big concern to this council. If we aren't able to reduce the number of children on those buses, are we going to have to purchase more buses? Are we going to have to hire more bus drivers?
I agree with you, Councilwoman, because I work in the school.
I know you
Children dropped off by parents. There are more children dropped off by parents than get on that and picked up by parents.
That's because they have no way to walk or bike with their children. So we have more parents having to drive and also buses going through. But this will give an opportunity for those children to walk without having their parents have to get in the car and drive them, which can be difficult for working parents since our schools start at all different times. So you all have the resolution, and Linda, you have it there in front of you. I'd like to have our attorney read it and then have a vote on it. I make a motion to do so.
Who are you asking to?
I'll second it.
Who are you asking to read it? I'm sorry.
Our attorney.
Is this motion to read it or adopt it?
Adopt it, please. Or no, read it before we vote. Don't we have to vote for it to be adopted?
No, you would have to read it prior to adoption, and you would need the input from the council.
Okay, so I'm requesting the attorney read it. If possible, if not, I'll be happy to read it. In fact, here I go. Whereas in April of 2009, the Borough of Ringwood completed the bicycle and pedestrian plan funded by the grant from New Jersey Department of Transportation, Local Technical Assistance Program. And whereas the borough's vision was to provide safe accommodation for bicyclists and pedestrians throughout the borough and to update the master plan circulation element. And whereas the plan was a collaborative effort between the borough, the county of Passaic, the Ringwood Environmental Commission, the North Jersey Water Supply Commission, the New Jersey Highlands Council, the New Jersey and New York Trail Conference, the New Jersey Department of Transportation, and the RBA Group. And whereas the plan set forth a number of important goals and objectives, including the establishing and maintaining of traffic speeds that promote bicycling and walking, safe and consistent access to our recreational facilities, a process to remove barriers to walking and bicycling, and the development of a partnership and stakeholders to implement the plan. And whereas, since the plan was adopted, there has been minimal progress adopting the recommendations in this plan, and in light of the current public health emergency and social distancing requirements being implemented to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, it is imperative that the borough residents have access to recreational facilities. And now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Ringwood Borough Council authorizes and directs the borough manager to begin the process of implementing and recommendations as set forth in the bicycle and pedestrian plan. And let it be further resolved that a steering committee is established to include the stakeholders as outlined in the plan to begin implementation of the recommendation and objectives as set forth therein. Thank you.
Anyone have any comments on this?
Madam Mayor, I just have a comment. Quite often, resolutions are sent to me for some clarification before they're presented. They don't have to be. But I just one question, I'll read it as to interpretation. Now therefore, let it be resolved that the Ringwood Borough Council authorizes and directs the borough manager to begin the process of implementing the recommendations as set forth in the bicycle and pedestrian plan. What specific recommendations or implementations are we asking the manager to implement? And this is of the plan. So the plan is somewhere, I presume.
I have the plan here.
But what specifically are you asking the manager to start implementing?
I have to say, Counselor, excuse me, Ms. O'Keefe, I'm sorry. I'd have to say, Counselor, I'm really glad that you said that, because in marking it up, that is the exact thing that I had questioned. When you talk about the process of implementing the recommendations as set forth, while I think there are some really good aspects of the plan, I also think there are some really problematic aspects of the plan. So right away, I had marked that up. So I appreciate you saying that, Counsel. You can go ahead, Kathy. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Jimmy, and good question. Counsel, that's a good segue into a question I had for you. You said that normally, I have to ask, as a member of the minority, I requested a resolution last week at the last meeting for this meeting, and I'm not sure how we go ahead getting the information we need. I found it problematic in a number of instances. Now, when I request something like this, as I did at the May meeting, whose responsibility is it to act on that request?
Well, as you know, the council as a whole, if you make a request and you want it as an imperative, the council would vote on it. Would vote on your request and authorize the resolution or whatever you want. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
otherwise it's more in the form of a suggestion.
Thank you for that clarification. Mm-hmm. But going forward, if I ever wanted to, because it would have been much easier if you had been able to put this together for us, but since I hadn't heard anything, I wasn't clear that that was the step. Now, when you say what specifically, there are plenty of items in there that can be done quickly and easily. I have met with Michael Danmiller at Complete Streets at Rutgers University that I attended last year. He was one of the authors, one of the engineers who did this plan. He has been requesting, and I have been requesting, that our town manager set up a meeting between Jeff Hughouse and Michael Danmiller so we could outline these. Unfortunately, in the last 2 years, we've never had an opportunity to do that. Scott at one time said Jeff was busy. He's very busy, and I get that. But into a 2-year period, I was hoping that we could get there. but certainly we can meet and outline those for Scott as we move forward with implementing it. Thank you.
I have some issues with this. First of all, 2009, completed the bicycle and pedestrian plan. This is 2020. Second of all, I agree with Councilman McCracken about, what's gonna go on around the lakes. You're going to have bicycle paths on narrow roads now. If a truck is parked to deliver anything to any homeowner, that's a problem right away. I don't see those roads being one way, and therefore I will be voting no on this resolution.
Okay, let's bring it to a vote.
If I may, John Spear, like some of the recommendations in the report, if you would have read it, on page 24, recommendations, phase 1. Phase 1 options refer to sidewalks that require immediate attention, such as in the vicinity of primary pedestrian destinations. Design and construct sidewalk on the western side of Skyline Drive, Fountain Drive from the Cooper School to from Conklin Town Road to Victoria Lane, Erskine Road from Erskine School to Skyline Drive to Lakeview Avenue, Valley Road from Bearfort Terrace to Bear Mountain Road, Margaret King Avenue from Borough Parkway to Sloatsburg Road. That's expensive and that's disruptive. That's probably, while it is a recommendation, it doesn't strike me as a good idea. And I'm not going to, step forward and begin the process of implementing these ideas. The one-way circulation around the lakes is not necessarily a good idea. I don't see why we would want to begin the implementation of that. There are a couple of low-hanging fruit that we could do, and I'd be interested in talking about it. I don't really like the idea of necessarily if you really boil it down, the only things that are not very expensive or very disruptive are signs and paint markings on the road. And if you have you have been paying attention, you'd see it's hard enough to try to find a place to put a road sign. Not to mention, road signs every couple hundred feet saying bike, share the road or bike path or something. Just to try to put a speed hump in places, because you do talk about speeding here. That's very difficult to cite around our lakes. So there are things. The implementation is not simple. We shouldn't be talking about adopting a flowery, plan with its wonderful vision and whatnot. There are implementation steps in here. Talk about the ones you want to do. I'd also like to point out, no, I'm not done yet. This is discussion time prior to a vote. We have been taking steps all along, but the steps are to get to the big picture. It's very difficult. But just widening the roads a little bit every time we come by on a paving project. These type of things we got to do. The big roads the county has. You don't see the county doing all that much additional shoulder width for us or for bicyclists going through there. This could be looked at, but adopting this whole thing the way that this resolution reads makes no sense. A lot of the recommendations contained in this plan make no sense, so I'm not going to support it.
John, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Thank you. Were you on the council in 2009?
Yes.
Was Linda Schaefer on the council in 2009?
I think so.
Right. This is a plan that you had made possible, okay?
Yeah. No.
For 10 years after you approved the beginning of this plan and the writing of this plan, you've let it sit on a shelf for 10 years and you've never moved forward with any aspect of this plan. Why did you have all of those tax dollars spent on completing this plan for Ringwood if you were never going to bother to try to implement any part of it? I'm really, really surprised that you and Linda Schaefer who started this whole process would be so vehemently opposed to it. It's shocking, quite frankly.
Well, things have changed in 11 years.
Highlands Act has made the fact that nothing has changed up here in Ringwood in 11 years, Linda. You and I know the only thing that really has changed is that one traffic light. So not much has changed in those 10 years, my friend, as far as the topography of our town and the way that this can benefit us.
Councilwoman O'Keefe, it is my understanding that we've applied for grants for this 4 times. And we have been applying the money each and every time because the money goes to communities where they have a much bigger population than we do. So that might be one of the issues as to why you're questioning them. The reality is we have applied 4 times for money and we have not gotten it.
Where have you applied for this money, Jamie? Can you be specific?
These were NJDOT grants, and they were for the sidewalk. We were actually going to do the sidewalk on the I think, oh no, it's going to be on the southbound lane of Skyline Drive. It was a lot of sidewalk. It's about $2 million worth of concrete. We applied for it a few times, never got anywhere. You'll also notice that we are taking active steps to take the one major dangerous intersection for bicyclists, that Erskine Road and Skyline Drive, and try to find an alternative there that will piece things together. But adopting this whole thing is ridiculous.
That's why there's a steering committee, John. I agree with you that not everything is going to be 100% of the communities behind it. For instance, the one way around the lakes. I hear different people saying, oh, I would love that because I would be so much safer, and other people saying, hell no. But that's something the steering committee can work out. To throw the baby out with the bathwater is ridiculous. We can break this down and do it step by step. The thing that we need to do is to get the steering committee together and start working with Scott, Jeff Hughouse, Michael Dan Miller, and all the stakeholders to start implementing what can be done. To continue to just block it is, in my point, you've wasted already 11 years. It's time to start the process. You started this back in 2009. Take a baby step forward today. That's all I'm asking.
Mayor, can I address that? Because the first thing that I would do when you give me a resolution telling me, I'm sorry?
I just have to say, you know, I'm part of the minority here. There's a Republican majority, and then there's a Democratic minority. Unfortunately, I find that you weigh in with the Republican majority time and time again. You seem to work only for the majority. I know that can't possibly but be your intention, because it's important that the council discuss this, but we've heard your opinion. Unless you have a fact to add.
As a matter of fact, I do. I'm going to
listen.
I think you're out of line in saying that. I think you're very out of line in saying that.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Linda.
Mr. Hack only does what he feels is right for this community.
I agree with you, Linda, that he does a lot that's right for this community.
But I'm going to suggest that in this form of government, the council votes on items, but the manager participates in all the discussions. I think if you read that part of the organization, it will. Now, I'm going to talk about the resolution that you have forward. I didn't say a word about it. I didn't even bring it up in my manager's report. But if you hand me a resolution that tells me to implement this document, I'm going to implement this document because I do what the council tells me. But I do have a couple of points. You asked me to put up facts, and because we were talking about bicycle paths, I figured some of this might come up. To say that this bicycle plan sat on the shelf and then nothing's been done since it was drafted is somewhat irresponsible and inaccurate. 2010, since 2010, Ringwood has installed and upgraded 750 inlets with bicycle safe grates. The roads Ringwood widened or reduced lane widths to allow shoulders for bike paths are Canterbury Road, Carltondale Road, Cupsaw Avenue, Cupsaw Drive, Erskine Road, Lakeview Avenue, Mohawk Trail. For some of these roads, they have a larger shoulder. Some of them are not as consistent. But when Jeff and I talk about drainage, we look at this document. You can see all the things that are marked up in it we look at this document and see where can we get more space. When we did Cupso Drive, we tried to widen it out and shrink the lane so that we can get bike paths and walk paths. Cupso Avenue is the perfect example. We also paved the fire lane between James Drive and Old Road, not because we need the fire lane, but because bikes go through there. We did some of the other ones as well. The Skyline Drive traffic light is part of this plan. It was implemented with a crossing there, and when you originally sent me the resolution tonight, I thought you were sending me the same resolution that the county and I worked out today, because they told me they talked to you about it. Evidently, they helped you write your resolution. And so I thought you were sending me the resolution because the resolution that I had in my manager's report was to move forward on one of the aspects of this report that is a pinch point to get to the Skyline Drive corridor that is mentioned in this report. So I'm not sure I understand. And yes, we applied for a grant, and New Jersey DOT granted to complete a bike and pedestrian plan. Evidently, back then, we needed to have a bike plan before we could apply for any kind of sidewalks. After the New Jersey DOT approved the funding, we created the bike plan and the bicycle pedestrian, so we can apply for bicycle pedestrian construction grants. Using the plan that the DOT helped us create, we applied for them to construct a grant in 2009, 2011, 2012, and 2013. Unfortunately, all of those grants were rejected. So to say that it sat on the shelf is unfair, because they did apply for many different things to the agency who told us to create the plan so that we can get funding for it. So that's the information that came from Jeff. Jeff was on the early days of this with Kelly. And so, again, I'm sorry that you feel that I don't ever agree with you.
Well,
but that's
it's not that. Thank you for that information, first of all. I appreciate it. We've been talking about this, Scott, now for going on 3 years.
You know I'm a biker, right?
We've talked about it at the EDC. Yeah, you are prepared. You've never shared this information with me prior in all our other conversations. So I appreciate you coming forward with it at this time. What I'm trying to do is to get this off the shelf, find a way to help our residents get to school safely, to bike and walk safely. The steering committee with the stakeholders can help you navigate a way forward where you can have the Lake community input, the school input, to make sure it's done in a responsible way. We also have open space money, as you well know, and everyone at the table knows, and I spoke about this at the last meeting. We have $900,000, it looks like, that we have allocated for a turf field. And the turf field was originally going to be at Hewitt, I believe, and the EPA objected to that location, and that was pulled. Then we wanted to do it at Stonetown, and the residents objected to that. So now I know there was a vote at Lakeland to put a turf field, and the residents of Wanacue and Ringwood turned that down. And I'm not sure where you are now with your turf field endeavors, but I know there is $900,000 in there that you have allocated for that, and currently there's $334,000 balance available to work with. And we heard Robin Kennedy say tonight that she has a pot of money and that we have been utilizing it on a regular basis as a town, as a community. And there's a lot of money in there that she said she can help make available to the town of Ringwood. Why haven't we pursued this, since this is passive recreation and we've had this on an ongoing basis? My two questions are, one, can we repurpose the money from the turf field to do the bike and pedestrian plan at this time? And if not, can we utilize the 336 to start moving forward with some of the plans? I don't think concrete walks are a good idea. You and I both went to Sustainable Jersey last year to the municipal conference, and we saw so many new ways that they're putting in sidewalks that are permeable so that they have less impact on the environment but are still safe for our residents to use. So go ahead.
I'm going to correct a few of your statements. One, I did not put money aside, the $900,000. The council allocated that as part of a commitment to contributions as part of a grant. I will also tell you that the county withdrew $300,000 from the turf field. We had open space monies committed. They in a resolution, took it back. So, and again, Ms. Canetti is incorrect. Last year, we did go to the county, and they recommended that we go through this engineering process rather than applying for a grant at this point. So to say we're not utilizing the money is inaccurate. We've applied for many years for open space funds for all kinds of things. There is a balance of $334,000, which I sent to all of you in the Open Space Trust Fund. There's a commitment of $900,000 for turf field. I would love to see us put a turf field in, because eventually the costs and the pesticides and the water used to keep these fields going, and the amount of use we have on them to keep them up is insane. I think that we desperately need a turf field. I thought that the last that we talked to the open space, they were going to go back to the Hewitt Field section, and we are about ready to have some open space meetings so that we can find out what their intention is. So again, Scott Heck did not allocate money. The Borough Council did.
I apologize, Scott. You're right, the council did that. I'm not trying to say that you took money. I was surprised at how long it took you to get the balance to me, but that's okay. It's good to know. Is it possible, my question was, to repurpose that money? Because right now there's nobody using our field, but there's a lot of people out biking and there's a lot of people out walking. So maybe we can repurpose that money and do the turf field down the line.
You could repurpose the money, and the reason
On the table, maybe we can vote on that.
Yeah, good point, Mayor.
We had
There should be a motion in a second, right? And then we were doing discussion?
Do we have a motion in a second?
Yes.
Okay.
There was discussion.
May I, Mayor?
Excuse me?
I'd like to say something if I could. Are we still in the discussion portion?
Yeah, and then we're gonna vote on it, yes.
Okay, I would just say that, while I'm in favor of projects that push Ringwood forward and allow for a better quality of life for our residents, and while there are some aspects of the plan that I would be in favor with, my concern with supporting this resolution as written, comes from a few thoughts. First thing is that, while Ringwood may not have changed significantly, it doesn't take away from the fact that the plan is 10 plus years old. Again, at the times when I was thinking about this, it was my understanding that we had applied for grants 4 times, and the money had gone to other towns with more residents. This plan, this resolution, and this plan, as is, will come at a cost. And I don't think currently we're in a position to forge ahead with this, especially when Councilwoman O'Keefe, you did vote against raising municipal taxes, which were equaled actually $3 a month, which was basically a coffee. And now to forge ahead with this seems like that might be a concern. And lastly, my gravest concern is that the plan turns our Lake Road into one-way street. I'm hard pressed to support something that our first responders are not behind. I remember that being an issue. That is a major concern. What additional strain will this put on our already taxed services? Currently, again, the emails that we received from what's been going on now with the virus at the different locations, people coming in from all over. Councilman McCracken made a really great point, and it's happening with me too. I'm not even taking my boys fishing or hiking like I normally would for fear of seeing other people. And at the end of the day, these are other people that are not paying my tax bill. They're not paying some of them are not paying a tax bill to Ringwood, and they're not even frequenting our eating facilities. We're not even seeing an uptick in that. So at this point, I just think that given Chief Walker's concern, this is not something that I'm comfortable right now forging ahead with. So I just want to be clear on that, and that's what I have to say. I'm done, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Hi, it's Ryan. I'd like to actually make a motion to revise the resolution, looking specifically at the second to last paragraph that's causing so much discussion. I would like to move to revise it to read, now therefore let it be resolved that the Ringwood Borough Council authorizes and directs the borough manager to identify the most readily implementable recommendations as set forth in the bicycle and pedestrian plan, begin the process of implementing those portions, and develop a phased plan for remaining aspects which the borough and community would like to pursue.
I think that's a great recommendation, Brian. Thank you.
Councilman Bolton, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate what you're saying. My concern with a resolution with a plan that's 10 years old and that is a stack this big, I would feel more comfortable if we tabled this and then we were able to have our borough attorney look at something, come up with something. We're throwing around words via a Zoom meeting right now, and that is of concern to me. So my recommendation would be to motion this, or to make a motion to table this for right now until we can obviously draft something that maybe would be more suitable for, where everybody would have some form of comfort level.
So can I ask you a question, Jamie? This is Kathy.
Yes, Kathy.
So are you saying that you would like to make a motion to have our attorney draft a resolution for?
No, I'm saying that I was just, no, actually, I was just saying, no, actually, I was just saying that my motion would be to table this. To July meeting.
I see. I think we've tabled it for 10 long years. I would like to see it move forward with Ryan's recommendation. Thank you.
Nicole, can we have a vote on that?
So for this, it's going to be the revised motion from Bolton and.
Excuse me, before we go,
Hold on.
What are we voting on? Are we voting on Councilman Bolton's amendment to Councilwoman O'Keefe's resolution?
Yes. Woman O'Keefe wanted to keep us the way it was.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Mayor.
No, that's not the case. I support Ryan's and I second that. So let's do a vote on his recommendation to revise this resolution. And then with that revision, we can vote on the resolution as now worded.
So just so you know, folks, what it would be that you would vote, this is a proposed amendment to the main resolution. Okay, if the motion passes, then that becomes part of the main resolution, which you will then vote on.
Right.
And there's a motion and a second.
That's correct. So we need a roll call.
Well, I'm sorry, but what was the revision that Councilman Bolton made again?
Sure, let me reread that. So looking at the second to last paragraph, now therefore let it be resolved that the Ringwood Borough Council authorizes and directs the borough manager to identify the most readily implementable recommendations as set forth in the bicycle and pedestrian plan, begin the process of implementing those portions, and develop a phased plan for remaining aspects which the borough and community would like to pursue.
Okay.
But Councilman, did you say begin the process and identify and begin the process?
Yes, begin the process of implementing those portions.
Unilaterally begin the process?
That's correct.
Certainly doesn't have to be unilaterally. It's intended to move it forward selectively. Acknowledging that the plan in its entirety might not be ready to implement, but that there are some aspects which perhaps we could move forward with.
Like, for example, in 2010, we widened roads. Maybe we could add paint. Whatever lines up with the steering committee, that's why we have them, right?
No, we make decisions. We can make decisions. There are bullet points that are implementation steps. They're standing in front of us. We make decisions on them. We're not going to adopt this thing on the whole. The resolutions as presented and revised are useless.
Can we take a vote?
Mayor Schaefer?
Mayor Schaefer?
No.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
No.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Ferretti?
Yes.
Matty Landis?
No.
McCracken?
No.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Okay, next,
We have there's a motion pending, Mayor. Councilman O'Keefe's motion is pending. The original form of that motion is still on the table.
okay, so we need a
So that's up for a vote. It's on the table. That means there's been a motion and a second.
we have a vote?
Mayor Schaefer?
Mayor Schaefer?
No.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
No.
Council members Bolton?
No.
Ferretti?
Yes.
Matty Landis?
No.
McCracken?
No.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bolton, finally getting to you.
Thank you. Well, hopefully it's worth the wait. I don't know if it will be. So I myself, like many other residents in town, have actually, you know what, before I forget, one of the speakers from the public portion, I believe it was Penny, was asking where residents can find the bike plan. So when the library opens, I think probably fully, I know they have copies there, but if you go to the borough website and you just search for bike, it's the first or the second result that comes up. So you can find it on the website fairly easily. It's a huge file, so bear with your download speed if it takes a while to open up. Like many other residents and members of council who have spoken, I myself have naturally seen and experienced some of the parking headaches that the current superstorm has created. And I think the situation that we are in has been driven by a lack of additional recreational options, as well as the limitations that have been put on capacity at the state parks. I don't think that in our wildest dreams we could ever anticipate or hope to be this popular again under the guise of ecotourism. So what I see are people who are circumventing the park limits that have been in place after they've reached capacity and are not allowing people to park properly anymore. And I also see them getting out of paying the nominal parking fees, depriving the state park system of much needed funding. One of the things that I would like us to investigate is an ordinance restricting parking to residents. And there's a model that we can look to follow from Hackettstown, where residential vehicles, meaning Ringwood resident vehicles, have stickers permitting parking, and residences have visitor passes for people who are actually properly and legally visiting people in town. So I know it would not be a quick fix, and those passes would come with hopefully some nominal costs, but I think that it's worth us looking into so that we have a bigger stick to use around some of these parking violations without negatively impacting the residents who would be on the streets appropriately. So I have a sample from Hackettstown, and I'll send that to Mayor, yourself, Scott, and Nicole for distribution and thought by everybody.
I think that's good to look into.
The other thing that I had wanted to say and bring up, and I think it echoes some of other people's comments, is we're all so tired of being home, so very, very tired. And we all want to go out, and we all want to do things, and we want to be with our friends, and we want to hang out at lakes and pools and backyards. And guidelines have been loosened, but not eliminated. And it's very hard to maintain, 6 feet of distance when you're hanging out with people that you know and that you've been apart from for so long. And masks are still suggested in a lot of scenarios and required in others. And while I encourage all residents to really use masks in any situation where it can improve their health and the health of our neighbors, something that I would ask is, if you are somebody who is not wearing a mask and you see someone who is, don't judge them. Don't make it harder for somebody to make that choice for themselves and their family and their loved ones. We don't know what anyone's individual health situation might be, who they may have to interact with, or what they may have already been exposed to that they don't want you to be exposed to. So let's be sure, as the mask adoption gets a little bit more spotty around here, that we remain kind and supportive of one another. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Spear.
I was hoping to give you a motion to adjourn.
Not yet.
But no report, Mayor.
Okay, I have a few things. First, I know COVID testing is going to be done on the 24th of this month. I did get a call from a few people that went, and I'm not going to mention where they went, to another town, and there was concerns about social distancing and how it was set up, and they really weren't happy the way that the procedures went there. Will we have our borough nurse or taking part in this, Scott, or
Yes.
is it just going to be?
Yes.
Yes, we will. Okay. So maybe I'll just give her a call and tell her the concerns that I've been receiving.
Sure. Yeah. No. The health department will be involved in that testing, and I had not heard anything like that before. So just
All right. The other thing is that I've heard or seen on social media about someone making a comment that, where's the mayor? How come the mayor isn't making, having discussions about the virus and being on Zoom? The borough website is set up very well. Mr. Heck goes on Zoom and makes a number of comments and gives people information. Plus, all that information is also on the borough website. So by me going on and making those same comments time and time again, it's like on the TV where you hear Dr. or whatever making the same, from New York, making the same comments every day. So I am there. I'm out and about and making sure that people are doing what they're supposed to do. I've been going to the establishments that now are going to have outside eating, and glad to be of any help that the borough can give to them. Also, please continue to wear your mask and keep social distancing outside. And I think, is it today or tomorrow that the outside dining is happening?
it started yesterday, Mayor.
Okay, so that's a good thing. Also, I've gotten some letters from residents that live around Jenkins Park and about dogs running loose in that park. That is not a dog park. I've been over there. There are signs up. I've spoken to some of the residents that have had their dogs off a leash. And they've been very cooperative. They didn't realize they couldn't do that. But I told them there are signs up, and they didn't want to, you don't want to be ticketed. So those are the things that I'm doing. It's not like I'm just sitting back doing nothing and taking on the role of mayor and not doing anything. And I thank Scott Heck for all that he does do for this borough, cares about our residents, and the same to Nicole, and the same to everyone that works in Borough Hall. So that's all I have. Happy Father's Day to all your fathers out there. Have a wonderful Sunday. I hope the weather is nice.
Mayor, may I just add one thing quick? You're involved in our everyday operations here. You talk to us, we run many things by you. You communicate, we send you a lot of the residents. You're being our dog enforcer right now. So you do a lot of things for a lot of people, and we appreciate what you've done here.
Thank you.
May I add something?
Oh, Nicole would like to, you're gonna talk loud, Nicole.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to add the primary election is going to be July 7th. We are lucky that in Passaic County, we're gonna have 1 of 5 of the ballot boxes that's gonna be outside our building. That should be arriving very shortly. We're gonna try and work that out tomorrow. The mail-in ballots should be at everyone's home right now, so if they're asking you, they should have received it in the mail. On election day, it's going to be different. Obviously, we're going down to 2 polling locations. It's going to be the Skyline Lakes Firehouse and Erskine Lakes. Please understand that at those locations, you can only vote by provisional ballot, which is a write-in, a written paper ballot. You cannot bring your mail-in ballots to the location to hand in there. They can only be dropped off at the post office or at the ballot box that's going to be outside our building. I just wanted to point that out.
Nicole, can I ask you one thing?
Sure.
And I think you answered my question one time when I was up there and asked, but I forgot your answer. If someone sends in the mail-in ballot, does that mean from now on they have to do mail-in, or is that just now, this one time?
I believe for this time, or in the past, if they signed up for mail-in ballots, they're on that list and they always get them. Right. Because the state did this, my understanding is that this is not going to put you into that bucket where you're always getting it going forward. This was just...
With this right now, we didn't...
Right, there's going to be voting machines at the location, but those voting machines are strictly going to be set up for someone who's handicapped, such as someone who's blind, and they're going to have to fill out a special form saying they cannot physically write out a ballot and they'll be allowed to go into the voting machine. Every other resident will not be allowed. Since they have the ballot mailed to their home, they're not going to be able to vote on the machine. And I just really think it's important for people to understand that. There's going to be 2 polling locations open, but it's set up for people that want to come in and do a provisional ballot or a handicapped individual that can't fill out the paperwork.
So most likely now when you do this mail-in ballot, that doesn't mean next year you'll have to do mail-in. You could go back to...
Correct, other than the people that are already been set up to get continuous mail-in ballots going forward. If those people want to be taken off of that, they need to fill out a new voter registration form saying they don't want that anymore.
Where do they do that?
You have to send a letter to the Passaic, to the county election division.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nicole,
As someone who took the vote by mail jump one year because I was going to be traveling and unavailable to vote, it has been life-changing. I no longer have to try and get in, before work or stress which bus I'm catching and whether or not there's going to be, crazy traffic coming home. So it's been a tremendous blessing for me individually as a voter.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, we're going to try and do some communications and get some more information out. Nicole's going to be sending some things. We're going to put a lot of things on our website so that we get everybody to understand there's going to be a lot of calls that come in here. And all of you, if I get a little animated in my passion for my positions, I apologize, but listen, we're working crazy hours and we're putting a lot of time in here. Unlike you guys where you want to see outside, I'm trying to see home. So I apologize for my animation.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Take that motion to adjourn this meeting.
All in favor?
Was that McCracken for the second?
Roll.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear,
Yes.
Council Members Bolton,
Yes.
Peretti,
Yes.
Matty Landis,
Yes.
McCracken,
Yes.
O'Keefe.
Yes. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, guys.
Congrats to all the graduates.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, good night.
Good night, all.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody. Stay
Gone.